happens is apostasy had to arrive, had to come. Apostasy is to separate yourself from the truth that Paul left written. So what happens? Well, the church that begun with Paul disappeared because he said it. After I die, the church will be reduced to bondage. They're going to be deceived. It's going to disappear. There was no church for 2,000 years. There was no churches. And how about all these churches that are around about me? They're not churches. Those Judaizing synagogues. I tell you this with respect. There are people that are bothered and say that I criticize. It's that sometimes you have to identify. It seems like you're criticizing. But to be a critic, it's not nothing bad. To treat a matter, it's proper. So I understand that according to the revelation that I've received, those are not churches. The churches disappeared with the death of Paul. Don't say you attended a church for many years because you were not attending a church. Don't say that before you arrive here, you attended a church. What you went to was and attended was a Jewish boxers, and you were a bad example of Judaism. Please understand that there were no church. The first church begun with Growing in Grace Ministry. And this, I say, based on what's written, not based on my opinion, based on what's written. It says, and he that is able to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ. And when, before 1986, you heard Jesus Christ preaching? Jesus Christ never preached. He never preached. Because if he had preached, the church would have been manifest. I wouldn't have had to do anything because he would have done it before I arrived. So the church was adrift. There was no church. Because to be a church, it has to have been established. Established with what? With the gospel of Paul. And no one had preached the gospel of Paul. That's why it says to him that is able. Because look, Spurgeon, Calvin, many theologians for 2,000 years, they tried to bring about a reformation. Luther tried to bring about a reformation. What did he reform? Nothing. What he did was divide the Catholic Church. So then the Protestant came out of that. Those that protested, that he wrote 95 theses that the church will not live by works and the just shall live by faith. And he nailed it there somewhere, and that's where the great reformation of Luther begun. But even Luther needed a reformation, because it isn't of he that wants. They wanted to, because you know how many people wanted to reform the church? Many, but they could not, because this isn't of he who wants, it's of he who is able. God had a predestined plan of one that was to come that would be able, but for him to be able, the gospel of Paul had to arrive, such as it has been revealed to us.